Something's happening in this day and age. Something is going on with the way that you and I are moving in our energy. And it's hard to explain, but I'm thinking you can pick up on it too, ladies and gentlemen. It's really been the forefront to the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing on this channel and why this is my dream, why this is my passion. I'm so comfortable in this space with you to talk about these things. The thing that's been on my mind, on my heart lately is the way we've been walking in this alignment phase, trying to get ourselves so aligned to the point where we are one with self, we are one with spirit, we are one with higher power, we are one with those around us. Things do not affect us negatively anymore. The things that used to affect us, they can't even touch us. And maybe there's been one or two blessings along the way that have helped give you some sort of immediate gratification of, okay, things might be okay for at least a little bit longer. In the worldly sense, let's say. That's great. Maybe you have some really awesome people around you, or you've had a financial blessing recently. I know that these things just go every mile in the distance. They really help. There's small things, but they, in the broad scheme of things, they push us to become greater. They push us to do more good things and become more of who we want to be. But ultimately, what's been speaking to me lately, the energy that I've been feeling, is that energy of such where you ever start to notice that those things happening around you and the mindset that you start to carry with you and the habits, the positive habits that you start to take on, and the people that are around you, especially the people that are around you, right? They start to be the people that show up are the ones who want to listen to you. They want to sit down and talk with you about your life, and they'll hear you out. They just give you that benefit of the doubt. And for some of us, maybe that's really what we need. Between having these good people around and taking the reins in our life ourselves and saying, hey, listen, like, no attachment at all, but I'm going to do what makes me happy, and I'm going to keep pushing at this thing. I'm going to hang on to every little last blessing until I can create more from the little bit of good soil that I've laid down or that I've scrambled together in my life, in this phase in my life. That's it, right? That's the secret. If we can stay in alignment and we can be spiritually aligned with no anxieties, no pressure, no trying to force things to happen, no trying to fight a worldly system around us. We've kind of created our own system, right? Almost. If we can do that and grow in what little bit of healthy soil we have left that we've planted, and we can just sit in that. People, circumstances, worldly things around us are just going crazy, right? Just flying at us in all directions. And we kind of just like stop and say, whoa, this is not my fight to fight. I'm not going to kill myself here over the little details. I'm not going to like really strain to go against the grain. That goes against what we want, right? And this is cool because when you stop fighting that fight and realize it's not your battle to fight, you can take all of that energy and reinvest it into yourself. All of that energy goes back into you. And then whatever overflow is there, you can put into those around you, circumstances, to create circumstances and situations where you're being a good person to everyone who comes in your path who's for you. And a lot of times there's a lot of people on nowadays are stuck on their phones, so depending on the generation you're talking to, it's going to be a little bit tricky sometimes to get the reaction you want to out of people. They're not going to give you that smile you expected. Maybe you expected to make their day more, or you expected them to be happier to see you, or to just spill the beans and be like, yes, my spiritual awakening was now and you spoke to me and everything's aligned. Well, that's okay, but what matters is you made the impact, you took the steps, and you're doing the right things. You are. That's really what counts. But what really ultimately matters is the fact that you're aligned, is what I'm saying. That you're taking the steps. You're living that life out. So you don't have to focus on everybody else and what they're doing and how they're being affected and whatever, but don't let things on the outside affect you internally. You got to look at things from a positive standpoint. I mean, you only have so many hours in a day anyways. And you ever notice that like you're trying to work the day out sometimes and you find that you're like, man, like even if I sat here and just did nothing but make money and give it everything I've had, make every phone call I can possibly make, I don't have control over what really resources come to me from that, from my hard work necessarily. I mean, you show up, you stay consistent, you're going to get paid. You're going to get, you're going to find ways to make your talents make you money. That is guaranteed. But as far as how much, we have some leverage here and there in certain situations, but to like go in and fight every little thing, like no, now I'm frustrated. This is I expected this to happen now, and this is how it has to be because I say so. I mean, to that extent, right? We can't really focus on looking at things that way. We could sit here and make all the calls we want and make all the money we want, but we're still only going to make as much as we make for that day, and we're still going to get done as much of those phone calls or spend time with as many of those people as we can, or invest as much of that time into our daily routine, our doctor's appointments, our this and that, our schedule, right? But what matters is what I'm saying. What matters is the fact that you did those things, and goodness is coming from that. There's going to be, a spiritual awakening there. There's going to be, you're at peace. You notice there's no anxiety anymore. It's just totally annihilated. You're not worried about the outside world. And things just kind of work out. That's the blessing there. Like, whoa, like I don't have to fight this anymore, right? You have to take the blessings you can get and run with them, and then compound on those, like we talked about, that little bit of soil. You have to compound on what's already there. Work with what you do have. Be blessed with what you do have, and the rest is about becoming who you want to be. Who do you want people to see you as? What kind of confidence do you have walking into a room? Because you're already incredible in your mind. You're already who you want to be. You've fulfilled that. So you don't need a company or somebody else, a neighbor, whoever, to tell you that, oh, you shouldn't do this way and whatever. So yeah, you're fulfilling your role. So good job. I commend you for that. I'm trying to do this in my life, so I'm just speaking on my experiences, and I hope that I can help all of you. And, I'm here to be an encouragement. I'm not here to tell you what to do and how to live your life. I'm telling you to live your life. And I'm telling you to embrace yourself with those positive experiences and walk in your I am yourself, love, you're the person that you want to become. Walk in that. Go through that spiritual awakening and you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's an incredible feeling, not fighting the outcomes or what's going on around you, not caring almost about that. But yes, you'll start to notice that you've accomplished something for the day. And it does, the fact in the matter that the realization that it does have value. You are valuable, and your efforts are noted. I was having, ironically enough, this conversation with ChatGPT several months ago about this, right? I opened a new window and I said, look, I just want to sit down and see what artificial intelligence has to say. You'd be surprised. AI can kind of be that leverage for a second when nobody else is there. You're like, I wonder what ChatGPT is going to say about this. And of course, ChatGPT, much like the people that I ultimately encourage you all to be around, is going to cater itself to become that person. So this is how the right people are the right people, right? That's kind of sort of what it'll look like. It's AI is modeling that for you. So that kind of gives you an idea of like, well, what does these type of people look like, and how should my life look, and how should I react to what's going on in my life? Yeah, that's it. So, but I was having that conversation, and it's just incredible how it just modeled that out. It's like, yeah, you you have to realize that the small wins are small wins, is basically what it was saying in this convo. And note that there's effort in your efforts and all that. So it was just a build up. It was cool. It was one day, it was one conversation, but it was part of my build up to becoming who I wanted to be. And it was like, okay, this is cool, because AI had a point. This is, and then that was the realization of like, okay, these are the type of people I want to become, that I want to be around. And it was part of a spiritual awakening for me. So that's great. And I encourage you all to sit down with yourself and figure out who that person is. Sit in that quiet room and interrogate yourself in a positive way. Ask yourself the difficult questions. Who do you want to be sitting across from the table from? What type of energy does that type of person ensue and, promote? Who do you want to be in your life? What are the type of things you want to do? What do you want to wear that resembles who you are? There's so many dynamics to this, so many levels that I haven't touched up on, because I'm humbling myself to the point where I'm like, okay, material things, I'm bottom shelf with material right now. I'm just like, okay, bare bones, basic. I want to focus on who I am. And then, because I would always like wear a type of shirt to promote who I was, or, buy a type of shoe or drive a certain car, but none of that matters to me anymore now that my awakening has happened. But, if you want to promote your style, and you can become that person that you want to be first, and you want to promote your style later, definitely do that. It's all part of who you are and who you want to be known as, but people will judge. People will look at you funny, give you, but forget that none of that matters. It's easy when you put a veil over yourself and you humble yourself. People just immediately want to walk all over you. They assume they can, which is wrong, because you're in a higher state. Your existence is in, a higher state, and you're on a different wavelength than they are. So you see life differently. I love you guys, but it gives you some things to think about, ladies and gents. This is for all of you age groups out there, and just really take the time to invest in yourself, and you'll realize who the right people are, and who you really need to become, and what feels right for you. I love you guys. I'll see you all in the next video, and man, I love these conversations. This is my passion. This is my channel, for those of you who don't know. And my name's Dustin, and I'm here to just coach you all through what I've been going through in my life, and I want to try to pass that on, and gift you guys with some, some real good conversation about life. And I want to see you all become the person you want to become. Not who I want you to become, not who everybody else says you should be, but who do you want to be? And that's why I'm here. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Good talk.